Well, Mother's Day finally in the past now, so hopefully you moms and grandmas, because let's face it, you've earned it, got the chance to relax, unwind, maybe go out to a nice dinner, or maybe unplug completely and go to a spa. I'm not a high maintenance type of person, but you know what? Who doesn't love a spa day, right? Well, it turns out they're not for everybody, especially not children. This was a rude awakening that one Fredericton, New Brunswick mom discovered recently when the 37-year-old attempted to bring her 5-month-old son to her treatment at the Avalon Salon and Spa in Fredericton. Now, she didn't think it was going to be an issue. She decided to take her 5-month-old son. She said she doesn't have alternate childcare options, so she brings her son everywhere she goes. She goes to the spa, but little did she know they have a no-child policy. So the receptionist at the spa told her, well, you'll have to rebook if you don't have other options. Now, she was just aghast at this, indignant. How dare they not let her in with her son? She even said, I was under the impression, I guess, that I could bring my child and expect to be served. Well, that's not an unreasonable assumption in some types of establishments, but always better to call ahead, right? Well, maybe as a mother, she's upset. She wants to spread the word out, tell her mom friends that this is just something that they should not tolerate, except the problem is she wants to go one step further than that. It's not just about complaining or leaving a bad review on TripAdvisor. She wants to take the spa to the Human Rights Commission in New Brunswick for discrimination. She says they've discriminated against her as a single mother and she wants the law changed. Now, family status, which is a protected grounds against discrimination in every province in Canada except New Brunswick, would basically mean that if you don't have another option, a person to take over your child for an afternoon, that you could technically claim discrimination against a spa. Now, because New Brunswick doesn't offer that, she wants the laws changed. She says that the province should make it so that someone like her who's been denied service at a spa because they have a child with them should be able to win a Human Rights Commission complaint. Now, we've seen what happens in these cases. There's a big, long sob story. The commission says, okay, you're discriminated against. The tribunal agrees, and oftentimes a small business owner, the spa owner in this case, is out sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, just for having a policy that they have for the betterment of their customers, their other customers. And that's what this woman wanted to do. Now, I'm all for having a spa that has a policy for no children because let's face it, you're going to relax, you're going to unwind. Who wants, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, or crying infants ruining the experience? It turns out, according to the spa owner, that isn't even why the policy is there. It's about safety. They don't want a child to get hurt by hot wax or tweezers, scissors, all of these other things. And that sounds pretty reasonable because we know people would be lining up to sue them if their precious little one got hurt at the spa when, let's face it, there was no one there to look after them. But this is the problem with 2016. Instead of just having a discussion, instead of complaining, instead of telling your friends about it, everyone wants to go to the Human Rights Commission. Go to the government. The government will save you. The government will protect you. Well, not true. But I was curious, what would happen if this denial happened in another province? Now, I was chatting on my radio show on AM 980 in London, Ontario the other day with Renu Mandane. Now, she's the Chief Commissioner of Human Rights for the Ontario Human Rights Commission, where obviously the Human Rights Code says that discrimination based on family status is prohibited. And I asked her, what would happen if this case, the case of Sasha DeWolf, happened in Ontario? Here's what she said.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, the family status ground it has not actually been interpreted that much by the tribunal because it's not often pleaded. Often many people will instead talk about sex. So, that a woman who's pregnant, for example, will argue that if she's fired when she's pregnant, that's discrimination on the basis of sex rather than arguing the family status. So it hasn't been interpreted that much at the tribunal. But I think what it's getting at is recognizing that people, have obligations to their families, both to their children, but also to elder caregivers. And sometimes, for example, in an employment context, if an employee, for example, needs, some accommodation to deal with a sick child or a sick parent, that is sort of the spirit under which I think the code articulates that. So the idea is to recognize that we all have obligations in our families that are important and that sometimes they will need to be accommodated by employers or others.
Well, she doesn't say that it couldn't happen. She doesn't say that this wouldn't be a complaint. If anything, she's given Sasha DeWolf more of a reason to complain, say it could just be sexism, not family status, discrimination against moms. And here's what DeWolf said. She said that the spa should offer childcare. The spa should make it so that no mother has to decide between caring for their child and going to get a manicure, a pedicure, a massage. And that may be great under ideal circumstances, but let's look at the implications that has for small businesses. That means if you operate a gym, a spa, if you operate a restaurant, you need to have daycare providers, you need to have extra space, you need to have people there to accommodate every whim and every request of everyone who walks through your doors, not just because of good customer service, but because you could be hauled in front of a human rights tribunal if you don't apply. This is not about human rights in the sense that we talk about freedom, democracy, free speech. This is a human rights industry that's profiting from this, bureaucracy that is expanding because of this. Who's benefiting? Has the Human Rights Commission stood up for the plights that mothers endure, that women endure, stood up for the rights of children by saying that a spa must offer daycare? No. All they've done is forced a small business owner through the ringer, despite the fact that, as we even learned in this case alone, in the small city of Fredericton, New Brunswick, there are other spas in the city that do offer childcare. Let the free market deal with this, not these so-called human rights commissions, these kangaroo courts at best. For the Rebel.media, I'm Andrew Lawton.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.